Today, welcome to today's episode of Sip and Style. Today I am joined by my good friend Tom Rocca. Tom is a author working on your first or second book?
First book. Yeah.
First book. And Tom we met networking. He came to our St. Pete Tweeds ribbon cutting event, and we ran into each other a month back at a networking event for the chamber. So, I mean, Tom, you really get around and network quite a bit. I mean, tell me, why do you network?
Well, it's all started with just creating the relationships, because I never really know where they take me.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because sometimes you're meeting people that are just starting their businesses or a part of someone else's business.
Right.
Eventually they create their own in the future.
Right.
And then there's other ones that just kind of are people and mentoring and looking help to, so I can see how I can actually support people and let them take it and maybe enhance their journey some way.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how long have you been networking? I mean, quite a bit, right?
I would say I started off just like a lot of folks of just attending events and being a part of a lot of things. And before you know it, you're kind of kicking it off and going, you know what, maybe I should kick this up a notch and start meeting some more people and seeing how I can really benefit from it. And just also looking, maybe someday it could somewhat profit me.
Yeah.
Most of the time I was always doing it, having friends and creating the network and always trying to keep good employees. I felt like I was always the operational boss.
Yeah.
And people liked me. So I thought maybe, well, the personality's fitting, but now how can I take that to the next step and turn it into something that I can really deliver back and also deliver back for myself?
100%.
Yeah.
What would, how long have you've been networking for quite a while?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned, have you met anybody prominent through your networking?
Yes, I think probably even just hanging around the sporting world a little bit. One of my good friends, Mark Schillereth, I don't know if you know him or not, he's a good broadcaster, not only ESPN in the past, but now Fox and a number of different things. I've watched him actually move through and come to a point where he was an offensive lineman that people somewhat knew his name, but he's starting to become more of a prominent person. I watched how he networked and moved around and kept his poise, and he joked around with the guys and the gals and had fun. And I think that was a big thing. It was the more fun part of it that really made networking a point. People like to hang out with you. They want to network with you.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah.
That's just like you and I. I mean, we hit it off that way in personality, and it just makes it more fun when you're kind of not feeling like there's an agenda.
Yeah.
No agenda is better than, on the networking side. That's how I pick it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see you go to a lot of chamber events. What are some other networking endeavors that you like to get involved with?
I started off doing a lot of work around associations, and it got to a point where I always thought myself, and someone mentioned to me, why don't you start getting involved in the board?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, that really was a good move for me. I found myself always taking a junior spot on the board, moving myself up, trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Eventually, at every single case, I always end up being a president or a chairman. And I think what it is that leadership role started to get to a point where I started feeling it a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, I think that was the thing that kind of drove me to a point where I said, you know what, I enjoy this, and people are following, and it's not like I was looking to be a leader as much as I wanted to be kind of like the glue or the conduit kind of guy that brought everything together.
Nice.
And then once it started happening, I enjoyed it a lot more. But now I just get to a point, even like a chamber event, I will be at a table of folks, and I just constantly thinking about, I don't want to forget this person.
Yeah.
Or I want to make sure I give them the time. It's just like, hey, yeah, my name is Doug. Oh, yeah, my name's Tom. How are you? And you do it really quick, but I'm always trying to get them on LinkedIn right away. Or sometimes before we leave the table, I already have everybody on LinkedIn already.
Nice.
And people are like, how'd you hop on my LinkedIn so fast? Well, it's something that I do. I mean, it's just important. I send them a thank you note and a sincere welcome that I thank you for being thank you for giving me the time to learn about you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it always starts with me.
Yeah, I love that. And that kind of brings me to some of the practical tips that could benefit somebody when they're networking, when they're going out. What are some practical tips you would give to somebody? I know there's a lot of strategies on memory, and certainly you want to remember people's names.
That's great.
Maybe some practical tips you would want to give the audience.
I even think about the other day when you and I were at an event. You saw me kind of floating around a little bit, but it's really, TJ, you kind of look in the eye and you shake a hand, and you really take a sincere effort to know who someone is and what they do, and also their position and what they do. The nice part is once we're all together, then we can move a little bit to a point where you're kind of see if there's some connection in there, because I see sometimes the one-offs are the most important things. It's just not the initial meeting with somebody,
Yeah.
but it's also how can I could get some more people involved? May it be a referral, may it be someone that a trust, and the things. Because once you take that network and make it really strong, it's really easy to network. It makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love, that's one thing about the Chamber of Commerce. It's a lot of fun. I try to get to as many ribbon cuttings as I can.
Yeah.
I don't always have to be feeling like I need to cut the ribbon or be a part of the ribbon or even hold the ribbon as much as to be there.
Just be there. Be there for support the new local business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Just even like these pins that we even hand out, and I got one for yourself today.
Okay.
I keep those in my jacket, and that's something that I always do as a chamber thing. When you meet somebody or someone's comments on something, you give them something back. And it's amazing. I've been giving out these pins for probably 3-4 years now, and people will come up to me and say, "Hey, I remember when you gave me a pin 4 years ago."
Yeah.
And it was just like nobody has ever done that for me. So it's just something that's also a sincere leave behind.
Yeah, give. Have a little give that you when you're going out to these networking events. Give them something to remember you by. I like that. Yeah, that's really smart. Okay. Well, I know you have also additionally some experience in franchising. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's funny. Franchising kind of started as a point where my partner in my business, Robert Stidham, that we do a lot of work on Suma franchising. Mm-hmm. We just started off, and he's a guy who's been around, much like I've been around the customer service world for almost 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. He's been around franchising for 30 plus years.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, we kind of got together and we brought our kind of like the Reese's peanut butter and the chocolate together. We kind of came together, and he just said, "Listen, I need someone to kind of watch the operational side."
Right.
So these shows like The Prophet and Gordon Ramsay and all these things we're kind of always like the essence of what we've always done.
Yeah.
Going into a business, may it be through a bankruptcy issue where you're trying to help them repair their business, or even a startup where I've worked with a number of different companies that had 3 or 4 locations that all of a sudden have taken it now to 200 locations.
Yeah.
And being a part of that journey for them was a big thing. So franchising for me, remember franchising is a little bit of a different animal than an entrepreneur creating a new business.
100%. Yeah.
The franchisor kind of comes in and he creates his idea, and he's trying to have other people that maybe don't have the entrepreneurial side of it covered, and they drive the business. They actually hop on his journey.
Yeah.
And then they become franchisees. And the franchisees are a bunch that really are some great people that want to be a part of something that's going to grow quickly.
Yeah. Would you say a franchisee is more like an entrepreneur? Yeah,
it's more of a entrepreneur to a point where a franchisor is an entrepreneur and a franchisee is kind of taking the next step.
Yeah.
And kind of hopping on their journey, but they want to be accelerated quickly into their new path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me your role and involvement within franchising. I mean, do you own franchises, or do you kind of just go in? You kind of know how to franchise, and you help companies do that.
It's funny, we do both. And the reason why we do is a lot of times we get involved in someone else's journey that doesn't have the financial support and so on.
Okay.
We come in, get it back from red, going into the black, get some profit going on, and then we come in, and sometimes they just still can't get to a point where there's the revenue to kind of pay with some of the things that we did, and we take it in equity.
Yeah.
Now, before you know it, we own 9 yogurt shops in Chicago or whatever it might be. It's a nice way to kind of go forward and be a part of something.
That's cool.
We always try to keep the entrepreneur intact and try to keep the spirit of what actually happened, because that's part of the growth and the history of the brand.
Right.
So
that's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, franchising. What if you were somebody who had a business and maybe you were looking to franchise? What would be your first step? What would be the first step into doing something like that?
Probably, I think the big thing is, in fact, it's funny. I keep thinking of a company that we worked out of New Orleans. Mm-hmm. They get to a point where you start to replicate your model, and you say, "Wow, this is actually working." For example, like Tweeds and so on, that actually starts off with one location, and you're saying, "Wow, we can take this thing and expand," and you get excited about that. That's part one. Part two is, can you find some people to go on the journey with you,
right?
And then take it and drive it in. I know you guys are opening a number of different, more branches, more things that are happening, and that momentum goes to a point where you're like, wow, let's start to a point where we can franchise these in comparison to setting up a, you feel like you're a business that's kind of starting another way. So
okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know also, in addition to all of this, you're also working on your first book. Very excited to hear a little bit more about that. Tell me the basis of the book, and tell the listeners, what they can expect when they read it.
Right now, we've worked on a number. It's always funny when you have a book, you're working on different titles, different subsets, the chapters and all that. You think you just kind of can go in and lay it out and kind of drop it in. I've changed it probably a handful of times, maybe even a couple of times more.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start working on artwork and everything else. And it's the whole part of that whole process is exciting. But to go back to what you said is we got to a point where we're looking for also a catchy title. Right now, we're going to work with mastering networking.
Okay.
Mastering of anything is important. That's kind of like taking it and somewhat making it yours, and also following a model that is successful and driving it forward. The networking side's got to stay in there. I mean, that's important to me. It's going to be all the way from all of a sudden getting involved. All the things we somewhat talked about earlier is getting involved in associations, foundations, school foundations, anything you can do to kind of get part of the community, and then drive that, and then to a point where you get your confidence in networking is so easy. You're just it's just a natural thing. And then the next thing obviously is on the back end. Do you do anything with it? After you and I meet 10, 15 people like we did the other day at a chamber event, do you actually just walk out of there and do you just say, okay, great, it was a bunch of nice people? Or do you really follow through and say a thank you, or visit someone, or really grab that cup of coffee, or really do something and to take to the next step? And then the other thing is, just like you and I, thank you for my beautiful suit here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you follow through on the business piece. I think it's important you get the full 360.
Yeah.
And you're really showing a sincere effort to be a friend and say, hey, listen, you got a great business, great quality products, and let me go ahead and actually embrace you by saying, let's go ahead and sell something, and we also feel together. Now all of a sudden that relationship becomes stronger.
Yep.
So it's really that whole kind of a circle of that piece.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, follow through is absolutely essential in my opinion. We do a lot of networking events and go out and meet new folks, and certainly, don't just want it to be this one and done situation where, you're coming back and, you don't see them for a while and you don't follow through or follow up. So, I mean, that's so essential. What are some other practical tips from the book that you can share with the listeners? I
think probably the other thing is I don't want to make it sound like the word database comes into pack, but I do create a good model of different folks. I don't want to say I throw people into buckets, but I do.
Yeah.
There's certain buckets that I just know that, because I do so many things in so many businesses and so many different industries, I got to somewhat categorize them in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm really good about that. It's probably one of my things that I think I could do probably better than most, especially when it comes to a referral. If you and I sat down and say, hey, Tom, do you happen to know anybody in the medical field, or do you know someone that actually does construction?
Right.
I mean, I can bounce between total different markets and find folks for us pretty quickly on that. So it works out pretty good for us.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, that's incredible. So, I mean, you're very involved in the community. I mean, tell me your community involvement, like what is it that drives you to do that, and why do you see that as necessary?
I think it's important because since we live in this area and so on, I think it's extremely important to take the community involvement and actually really drive it to your heart and make sure it's something that you really enjoy. I even think about the event we were all together and spending time with outside at that food labs, for example.
Yeah.
You and I've been to a lot of different events and so on, but you're really watching a business entrepreneur who came up with a great concept to help set up a business where other people can birth their businesses, and then you make it into some kind of a venue that's a lot of fun. I find that wonderful. That's really the essence of what the community involvement is that I like.
Yeah.
I like getting out too. Sometimes I can throw on a suit. The other times I can put on a pair of shorts and a Tommy shirt kind of thing and walk out and just feel comfortable and feel whatever it is to do it. And that community involvement is also to a point of fixing and cleaning.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a great example. We went through a tough between Milton and Helene here with some of the hurricanes and the things we had back to back.
Yeah.
Getting involved with that and being a part of a beach cleaning or or city cleaning or whatever, to me is a piece. We're all going to live together here, so let's make it a lot of fun and be a part of the community.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, no, that's beautiful. So community involvement, extremely essential to what you're doing. I mean, tell me a little bit about why is it that you dress up when you go networking?
Well, and it's funny because I think...
Because I've always noticed you're very, very sharp dressed when we go, even before you purchased the suit from Tweeds. You always had a sports jacket or a suit on. You always looked really good. You presented yourself
Yeah,
really well.
I think a lot of it, and I've listened to a couple of podcasts of yours in the past too. A gentleman came in, and I like the way he mentioned that, but it really is somewhat the standout. The one with the pink suit.
Christian Dion.
Christian was such a great one. I got to listen to that. You did a great job with that. And I was so proud of him.
Yeah.
But he actually does it to the extreme where he's actually wants to completely stand out.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. That was great.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit more of just a point where I think a little bit of business stature,
Yep.
or at least in my case, maturity of maybe being more of a mentor.
Yeah.
It's not always an ego-driven thing at all.
Yeah.
It's just mainly just trying to feel like someone that they can come up to and say, they can ask those 3 tough questions to.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, or something where they don't know how to break into something. I want to be that guy where they
Yeah.
come over and say, wow, you're comfortable, you're poised, you're stylish.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me out here. And somebody who's maybe pushing on that side, maybe that opens a little bit for them. I try not to be intimidating.
Yeah.
All the way from picking shoes to whatever. I want people to know I'm relaxed and so on. It's always kind of funny you do that, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And, I want this podcast to be like a roadmap. So if somebody really resonates with what you're doing, I want them to be able to hear from you and understand, hey, these are the steps that I need to take. If you're talking to a young guy who's wanting to get into, writing a book, wanting to get into franchising, wanting to get into, networking, I think really is the start of that. But certainly, what would you tell them to go do?
Number one, I would say stay in the circles that can accelerate that path.
Yeah.
A lot of times people fray a little bit. It's, you could go to the right type of events, be at the right type of association events. I think that's important. Get involved. I was always doing that with even associations where if they had a national event that they did, I always asked them, tell me a little bit about your local chapter. Starting off at a chapter side and moving myself up to a point where I was doing that. So the involvement made me stronger to a point where I can ask a lot of questions to the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, give me one more practical piece of networking advice for somebody who's new to it.
I would probably also say don't be afraid to go up and don't go up and introduce yourself to somebody. And if you're somewhat green at a topic, don't be afraid to tell them that.
Yeah.
Just go, listen, I'm brand new at this. That's a very sincere opening.
Yeah.
And I want to learn more about it. I want to see how I fit into this. I want to fit into this. I think it's a good path for me. And then ask the question you just did of how can I take this and does it to accelerate into what you're doing? I'm intrigued by it. Let me see if I can kind of hang with you a little bit, or at least introduce me to someone that can.
Yeah. And tell me one more piece of practical advice for somebody who's looking into getting into franchising.
And franchising, I think, is important because you're going to start looking for what brands you may be. Franchising is such an open piece.
Yeah.
I do things in healthcare, food service, Pilates and yoga.
Yeah.
There's all types of different things to get into. You got to find that passion.
Find that niche.
It could be someone else's passion that you just love and you feel that you can run with it. And that's really the franchising side of it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And then tell me one more piece from your book, kind of one more practical tip from your book, and then I'm curious about your creative process on writing the book as well.
I think probably the big thing on the book itself is I'm just trying to help out somebody have a solid process of thinking.
Yeah.
When it comes to, I don't want them to overdo the, it's not the point of outline, but more about it's almost like these 4 things need to happen every time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of figure out what order I want to put 2 of them in, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. The process of the book, it's going to be laying that all out.
Yeah.
And my really thing is I want to spirit the book into having these kind of conversations with people, and give them some kind of a roadmap to feel comfortable and go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any questions that I didn't ask you that I should have?
I would say probably wrap up your relationships and find your core people that really make a big difference for you. I would say that's probably another one, is find that the core 3 or 4 people in your life that really you want to drive toward and hang with them. And move in those type of groups, and see what that means. Because I mean, for example, me with keynote speaking, I always look for the guy or the woman or the man that can get up there and really portray themselves, and have that confidence. And it's not always it's the way they deliver the message.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of folks I'm trying to move with next.
Yeah, you got to find that foundational core group of people that you want to make moves with. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have that here at Tweeds. That's awesome. So that will do it for today's episode of Sip and Style. Tom, it was such a pleasure getting to talk to you a little bit more and pick your brain about these wonderful topics. Let's have a little cheers.
Yes.
And as always, with style.